I had just finished paying for the groceries, my wallet still warm in my hand, when I noticed she had stepped aside. She was on the phone, her posture relaxed, one hand cradling the device, while the other rested lightly on her hip. The store's fluorescent lights reflected off the polished floor, and I felt a brief, ordinary contentment, a rhythm of routine. But then he appeared, an elderly security guard, moving slowly but with deliberate purpose, approached me. His uniform was tidy, though the fabric had seen better days, and his posture betrayed years of experience more than authority. He stopped a pace away and looked me directly in the eyes. "Is that your wife?" he asked quietly. I nodded, caught off guard. There was nothing in his tone that suggested alarm, yet the calm insistence of his words made my stomach tighten. "Yes," I murmured, "come with me. You need to see this yourself." His voice was gentle, almost deferential, but there was a firmness in it that left no room for argument. My mind raced. Had something happened? A slip, a fall, or was it something else entirely? I left my basket behind, feeling a faint prickle of guilt for abandoning the routine, and followed him. We moved through the aisles slowly, his pace steady, measured, giving me time to prepare myself for whatever revelation lay ahead. I tried to anticipate scenarios, small accidents, misunderstandings, but each one seemed increasingly improbable as we walked. My own assumptions, built up over years of routine domestic life, were failing me. As we reached a quieter part of the store near the back, he paused. "Just here," he said. I looked up, trying to see what he intended. She was there, yes, but not in a way I expected. She was standing near the customer service desk, speaking calmly into her phone, but her expression had changed. It wasn't fear, exactly, nor distress. It was something subtle, measured, almost cautious. She glanced around briefly as if to gauge the environment, and then her eyes met mine. The recognition was instant, but it carried with it a weight I wasn't prepared for. The guard's hand rested lightly on the counter, not pointing, not signaling, simply present. It felt like a steadying force in a moment of imbalance. I realized then that I was seeing her in a context I had never imagined. A small, concrete action, or maybe an inaction, had shifted something fundamental. "Do you understand?" he asked, softly, watching me as if he could see through the layers of my thoughts. I did, though it was difficult to articulate. The trust I had assumed was implicit, unquestioned routine had been unsettled. Nothing catastrophic, nothing dramatic. But enough. Enough to force me to reconsider what I knew, what I thought I knew, and what I had taken for granted. I felt my chest tighten, a physiological echo of a cognitive dissonance I hadn't expected. Silence stretched between us. She continued her conversation, unaware, or perhaps aware in a way that was private, of the minor earthquake her presence had caused in my perception. I wanted to speak, to ask, to probe, but the words felt inadequate, clumsy, insufficient to bridge the gap between routine and revelation. I realized, with a strange calm, that this moment did not demand confrontation. It demanded observation, acknowledgement, and perhaps internal adjustment. We left the back area slowly, retracing our steps. The guard remained beside me, unobtrusive, a steadying anchor to a reality that had shifted beneath my feet. I noticed the slight sag in his shoulders, the careful cadence of his steps, and something in me resonated with the quiet authority he wielded. Not dominance, not spectacle, but presence. Back near the front, I caught up with her. She ended her call, folding the phone into her pocket with an ease that belied the subtle tension I carried. She looked at me, and I at her, and in that glance was an understanding that did not need words. Something had shifted between us, a tiny fracture in the assumed, the habitual, not catastrophic, not accusatory, just different. I didn't know if I would ever articulate exactly what I had seen or felt. It lingered in memory, a quiet perturbation in the rhythm of our shared life. I understood that trust could be shaken without being broken, that perception could be rearranged without catastrophic consequence. That sometimes, power, quiet authority, calm insistence, was enough to reorient someone's understanding. The rest of the trip continued without incident. We moved through the aisles, collected the few items remaining, paid without haste, and left. The sun outside felt familiar, warm on my face, but I was aware now of a subtle dissonance. The world was the same, and yet it wasn't. My wife walked beside me, unchanged in manner, unchanged in tone. But I carried an awareness that had been absent before. Later, I would replay the moment in fragments: the guard's steady approach, the quiet authority, her composed expression. I would notice the small cues, the hesitations, the micro shifts in posture and glance. And I would recognize how easily assumptions could mislead, how trust could be both fragile and enduring, depending on the observer's willingness to witness rather than judge. That night, as I lay awake, I thought about the nature of authority and revelation. Sometimes, the moment that unsettles is not dramatic. It is the quiet, controlled intervention, the small, undeniable shift that forces reflection. Trust, once shaken, need not shatter. It can recalibrate. It can remind you that the world, and the people in it, are more complex than routine allows. I didn't reach any conclusions. I didn't demand explanations. I didn't react with anger or fear. I simply allowed the experience to imprint itself quietly, like a shadow stretching across familiar terrain, a subtle alteration in the map I thought I had memorized. And in that quiet, restrained acknowledgement, I found something unexpected, a sense of clarity not born from certainty, but from careful observation and patient recognition of reality as it was, rather than as I assumed it to be. The guard had faded back into the store, returning to his rounds, leaving me with the weight of understanding. My wife and I continued, side by side, unchanged on the surface, irrevocably altered within.